Do you have trouble seeing this light is on? If whoever's in the back there, can you just figure out how to just turn off this front light, not all the lights, because they'll go to sleep. You'll go to sleep. I will too. Too many. If anybody knows how to do that. Did I not load it? I think I didn't load it, but we could talk about it anyway, if I could find it. No, I should load it. It should be on Blackboard by now. There we go. Okay, so everybody into a project team. This will be your team even when it doesn't relate to the project. So we'll have some classwork where you work together. Next to your company name is a letter, A or B. Come on up. No, come up. No, you can't just sneak in. Come on. Come here, yeah. Sign in.
I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry.
Now, 6, that's your new team. Team 6.
Okay, hi.
No, you get to sit over here with your team.
Okay.
I can't get angry, right? Can't get angry at that. Okay, so if you have an A, each of you have a company. The other class will have a similar company. So if you're Pfizer, the other class will have a team that's Merck. If you're JP Morgan Chase, the other team will have a class that's Bank of America. Tell me your company, I'll tell you the other team. Walmart, what do you think? Target. Amazon, eBay. Apple, what did I do? Google. I did Michael Kors. Any others? What's that? Ford, GM. At least yours makes money. Is that all of them? So the other team has one. And the final project is going to be you and that other team head to head, presenting. How many of you like to do presentations? Okay, too bad they're all on the same team. How many of you hate to do presentations? Honestly? Really? Okay. The reason we do them is because a lot of people hate to do them. And the only way to get over hating to do them is to do them. So it's opportunity. So if your team is a team A, so on your piece of paper, it had an A or a B, very clearly. 4 teams are A, 4 teams are B. If you're a B player, B team right now, there's no difference. It's just the order of events. Don't listen. It's just going to confuse you. So play dots with your neighbor. This is for the A teams only. On March 26th, the week after my break, not yours, you'll have a presentation. This presentation will be a definition of the strategic position of your company within the industry that it competes. You'll talk a little bit about the background of the industry and the background of the company. You'll talk about the mission statement of your company. We'll get into all these things when we get into Chapter 13. We'll talk about the 5 forces model as it relates to your industry, the SWOT analysis for your company, and your company's strategic positioning. At a minimum, you'll do all these. You'll notice that when I give assignments, I don't have a minimum, I have a maximum, because my experience with presentations and papers, it's much easier to keep on talking and hope you said some things that are useful. So I have a maximum, no more than 15 minutes. So that means you need to be thoughtful on what you're going to say. Every team member must speak approximately equally. You need to figure out ways to be interesting. It's everyone's natural tendency to just tell everything they know. But if you're Amazon, you're wasting everyone's time if you say Amazon's the biggest global online retailer. Everyone knows that, right? Get past that right away. So you want to be impactful and succinct. Impactful and succinct. Those are the words that I think are important in a presentation. Make it matter. Make the audience care. Rule of thumb is people will only remember 3 things you say. So figure out what are the 3 things you want to get across and get them across. You'll hand in your presentation material. So if you use PowerPoint or whatever tool, just all you have to hand in is your slides. So that's what you'll be doing on March 26th. These are for Team A's. On April 2nd, the B team will be doing what I just described, and I'll describe it again for them so there's no confusion. But the A team will have 2 responsibilities. So the following week, you will write a paper no longer than 4 pages, double-spaced. 4 pages or less. Proper format and grammar. Here's what I get with a lot of papers. You know, there's 4 people on a team or 5 people on a team. They say, okay, I'll do this part, I'll do this part, I'll do this part. You know, 3 hours beforehand, they hand in their parts, and it's not a paper. It's 5, hopefully it's the same font, but it's 5 different people just saying stuff. A paper is a paper. You pull it together, it reads well. One of the reasons why I kind of randomly create teams is I recognize that quite a few people are English as a second language, and hopefully the teams are such that people who are English as a second language are mixed into the teams, where grammar is a little bit more difficult. And so somebody else on that team should help with the grammar. That's part of my thoughts on that. Obviously, if you're using an outside source, you have to tell us the outside source, otherwise you're plagiarizing. The paper will do the following. It will talk about the key success factors and the core competencies of your company, and the reason that you have defined them as the key success factors and the core competencies. And then it'll talk about contemporary business drivers and cost management techniques, which we'll talk about as part of Chapter 13 in just a half hour or so. So you'll talk about those 2 things as outlined in Chapter 13, and you'll describe why you chose them as important for your company. That's the first part of what Team A will do on April 2nd. The second part of what Team A will do on April 2nd is you will be, if your Team 1, your partner team is Team 2, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, 5 and 6, you have to be especially alert during the presentation, if you're Team 1, especially alert during the presentation of Team 2, so that you, because I will call on individuals from Team 1 to ask probing questions to understand why Team 2 made the decisions they made. So your second responsibility is to be ready to ask those probing questions. And they're not pre-planned. They're based upon the presentation. Okay? So this is the interim deliverables. You have 2 of them, worth 5 points each towards your grade. That's for the A team. The B team, it's just the opposite, but I'll go through it for you all. I'll do a little bit faster. So the B team will have a paper due on March 26th. Their paper will be no longer than 4 pages with the proper format and grammar that cites the appropriate sources. And that paper will define the strategic position of your company within their industry with the same 5 topics, and will you'll be ready to ask a probing question to your alternate team. So you'll be listening carefully on March 26th and be ready to ask that probing question. And then on April 2nd, you'll get a chance to do your presentation on your company's key success factors and core competencies and the business drivers and cost management techniques. No more than 15 minutes, impactful and succinct. Make sense? Ish? Any questions? What team number are you? 2A and you're 1B. Okay, so when they go on April 2nd with their presentation, because they're a group, so they present on April 2nd, you will be specifically focused on their presentation. And there are 5 of you, or 4, I don't have 4 of you, right? Probably, no, there are 5 of you in the team. I will pick out one of you. I'll know your name somehow and say Joe or Susie or whatever. Do you have a question? And you'll ask a probing question. I won't necessarily have all 5 of you, but each one of you need to be prepared to be randomly picked to ask a good question, to create a dialogue about the presentation. Okay? And then when your presentation comes, they will be the ones. So if you're mean-spirited, they can get back at you. Any other questions? That is the final presentation where you're competing against the other team, the other class. That will be the, I think it's the last day of class, in a large auditorium. Let's hold off on talking about it. It's not, I've done it in the past. I may tweak it a little bit, so before I tell you exactly how it'll be. More than likely, what team are you? Walmart. So you'll be on stage or up front along with the target team from the other class. And you'll be able to figure out, I'm not going, you can just find out, right? So you can decide you want to work together, you can decide you don't want to work together. There'll be leeway for you to decide how you want to approach it. Okay? No, you could have appendices. Good question. Questions? Sound like fun? I could tell by the faces the answer is no. It'll be more fun than you think. I hope. It's always tough to come into the PA classes because by this time you all are like a closed loop. Usually a professor comes into a classroom and nobody knows each other or just a couple of students. Here, you guys all know each other. You're like a team against the professor. Tough. Okay. If that's it, we could get on with the course. Yes, sir.
Will there be a paper due at the end of the week for the final?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's what I'm hoping we'll have a session of 4 hours where I won't have class, and you'll really get to focus as a team on your own to do that kind of stuff. That's my goal. Okay, so we're going to have this session recorded. I'm sure some of your other classes are also being recorded. I've had a previous version. It was one of the first recordings that we did, and it was pretty low quality. So we're going to re-record the session. If you're up here and you're being recorded, you will be edited out. The students shouldn't be recorded. And so we have editors. What's your name again? Anmar? Anmol will be the editor also, so she'll know, take you out so that you're not being recorded. And so presentations won't be recorded or anything like that. They won't go. But the class itself, hopefully in a timely fashion, will go up on the internet. So if you miss something, you can come, you can go and check it out. It'll have marks, so for a specific topic, you can only go 7 minutes into the class and start listening to 7 to 13 minutes where there's a specific topic you might not have understood. So it might be helpful for you all as you're studying or whatever to go back to the lectures if you need to. Okay? With that said, I'm ready to go. It should be working. Okay, we ready? Like any good course, we'll start with chapter 13 and then go backwards. Should I? Come on up. Class starts at 8:30.
Okay. I was running late this morning.
It starts at 8:30, okay? From now on. Sign in and find team 7.
Okay.
Oh, you're not already on the...
No, I'm gonna go today and straighten it out.
Where's team 7? Okay, got it. Okay, so I said it before we started, management accounting is something that everybody will get involved in. And just so you know, I use cost accounting and management accounting interchangeably. So I don't even think about those words in the class. But if you think of any company, it starts with objectives. A company has objectives on how they want to do business. From those objectives, they create a strategy. From that strategy, they have some kind of implementation. They implement their strategy. Now, to figure out how well they're doing, you need a feedback mechanism. That feedback mechanism is management accounting. If done correctly, it ensures that the organization is aligned to the company's strategic objectives. It's a set of tools that allow you to control and plan within the organization. And of course, after implementation, there's also financial accounting that happens as well. But management accounting is the control and planning process. So I think before we talk about the techniques, we should talk about strategy. Have you talked about strategy in some other classes? So if I'm bringing up topics you've done before, let me know, and we'll run through them quickly. So